Hi guys, in this lesson we will talk about what's Python and how we can use the Python programming language in our application. But firstly we need to talk about the general framework of the Python and what's valuable to be used in Python programming language. Okay, and so this lesson is covering the general information from the Python. What's the difference between the Python and another language, and what's the structure or the underlying mechanism of the Python programming language in the computer science. Okay, and so in the VS Code application we can add the main.py or text file like this one, because in the Visual Studio Code we have a general editor or integrated development environment to be used in the different programming language or the different program. For example, the text file can be seen by using the Visual Studio Code, and then we can create the nodes related to our purpose. But we can also give the py value in here. In the Python programming language we should give the command line with the three object of these things, comma operator in here. Okay, and so what is Python? Firstly we need to answer this question. The Python is the very popular general purpose language which includes the interpreted property, object-oriented and high-level programming language. And so we should address of these things. Firstly, the Python is interpreted. But what is interpreted? Normally we have the standard programming language, C or C++, and this is the low-level programming language because we can access to the pointers or use the pointers to reach the memory location. Okay, and so we can access the whole memory location by using the C or C++, which is coming from the low-level programming language, and then we should tell that these programs, C or C++ codes, can be translated into the machine code. And so what's machine code? Normally we have the 1 and 0 value in the low-level memory programming, because everything related to computer structure is given in the binary form. And so if we have the programming language, or if we have a code like the C or C++ or Rust or another language or Java, and so if we have this kind of compiler in here, and then we should translate all the codes which is written in the C or C++ to be translated into into the machine code 1 and 0 or another language that we cannot understand easily. Okay. And so if we are using the C or C++, and then we can translate whole executable file in here like this one, and so these programs can be compiled and can be run without any external requirement. And so if we have the machine code like this one, and so we can create the executable files, which means that which enable us to to run program without any external requirements. Okay, but this current for the C or C++ programming language, but some other language, maybe like the C# or Java or the Python, is running with the high level or considered a high level programming language. Okay, because we don't need to use the machine code or translate it to machine code like the C or C++ programming language. In the C#, Java or Python, we have some virtual machine to be used in what the interpret hold the codes to be what run. What does it mean? In the C# or Java or Python programming language, we have, for example, the Python code like this one. This code translates into the C Python code. This is a compiler which is written in the C programming language, because we need to use this C Python because the computer understands only the machine code. Okay? Only computers understand the machine code, and so if you don't have any machine code, and we cannot run this program on your computer structure. And so Python uses the virtual machine or another program to interpret their codes to be run on some virtual machine. And so the C Python codes translate all the codes into the virtual machine. And this virtual machine includes some machinery code to be compiled in another language, which in this case the C programming language. And so if this have the virtual machine like this one, and then we can run the Python code. Okay? And so we don't have any machine code translation in here. And also we don't have, or we cannot use this program in the executable files. We can translate or create the executable files in here, but we need to use some other programs in order to create this feature of these things. And so the Python can be considered or evaluated by using these terms, the interpreted. Okay? Python has a mandatory rule to run the C or C++ or another low-level programming language to be compiled and interpret their codes to send the virtual machine, and so this virtual machine can run this code easily. Okay? And so this is why we should use the interpreted term in here like this one. And so the low-level programming language means that we can translate all the code which is written in the C or C++ programming language to machine code. But in the C#, Java, and Python, we don't have any feature to translate all the codes to machine code. Okay? And so if we have this programming language, we can summarize the interpreted feature is like that. Okay? And so in the second place, we should talk about the interactive modes in here. You can actually set a Python prompt and interact with the interpreter directly to write your programs in here. What does it mean? Interacting with the interpreter can easily supply or provide some important feature. If we have any virtual machine to be executed in your computer system, and then we can easily write your codes in here. What does it mean? If we have a program like, assume that we have a C++ program with a highly complex, and so the Python code can be accomplished by using the two terms. Okay? And so the easy to write a program in Python programming language, because this interactivity gives us with interpreter directly write your programs. And so we don't need to compile your code, or we don't need to translate all the codes to the machine like this one. And so if you don't have this requirement in here like this one, and then we can run easily this code in a real-time applications. Okay, and so this is the another feature of the Python in here like this one. This is object oriented. Okay, Python supports the object oriented style and technique of programming to encapsulate your code with the object. Object oriented programming is the most important property to interactive design of your codes, because the low level programming language can be used in the microchip structure or the microprocessor programming language. And so this C or C++ cannot gives us a way to design a complex structure or complex features or relations. For example, if we have any class, or if we have any object with the function, with the variables, or with with another properties which is given in the object oriented notation. For example, if we have a car class or car object, we can encapsulate or include its related function and variables. And so we can collect all the terms in the one object. C or C++ cannot be used by these purposes, but in the object-oriented notation, except from the C++, can give us an object-oriented notation, but in the Python programming language, object-oriented gives us an object relation, which includes the related function and variables, and easy to access whole the function. The whole function and variable. This important feature to create some properties in your programming language, because if you are designing an interface program, for example a button to calculate the summation or mathematical operation, and so if we have the button class or button object, and so its related function and variables is also included in itself. Okay, and so if we have this feature in an object-oriented notation, and so we can easily write your program or our program to be implemented in a highly complex structure. And so object-oriented give us or enable us to create or establish to complex programming structures. Okay. And finally, Python is a beginner's language, because the Python is a great language for beginner level programming and support development of a wide range of applications, because the virtual machine or the interpreted feature gives us to create a complex structure and easy way. Especially in the C or C++, we can define, or we should define, the many pointers or the access points, because in the low level programming language we should reach the memory locations, or we should create the variables in each way or separate way. But in the Python codes or Python programming language, we can easily create any class or any object to implement your computer structure. And so you don't need to use or know what's the underlying mechanism of the C Python or C code or the memory location or the complex structure which is given in your language. Python, so the beginner language of these things. Okay. And so we should talk about another feature of the Python. Python has the functional and structured programming methods, as well as the object-oriented programming language. Possess the class structure, which is the base of the base of the object-oriented programming language. And so if we have the class with some properties or function or methods or the variables, and then we can collect the whole information into the one class. You cannot easily implement this structure in the C or C++ programming language. And also it's a scripting language and can be compared to bytecode for building large application. What does it mean, the bytecode? Bytecode directly relates to the virtual machine, and virtual machine can be coded or can solve this bytecode in order to what? In order to implement your microprocessor structure or your computers. Okay, and so this creating the bytecode by using any interpreter or C Python or the compiler programming, and so we cannot create the executable files by using the another files. C or C++ directly create these files, but in the Python language, these bytecodes can be sent to the virtual machine, and virtual machine run on anywhere in your computer structure. Okay, and so the Python provides the high-level dynamic data, which means that in your programming language, and if you write any code or C or C++, we have two types of variables. For example, the static types or the dynamic types, dynamic memory location or the another local memory location. And so every variable in your Python application gives us the dynamic data. And what does it mean? Dynamic data means that it creates the variable in a runtime operation, not a compile time. In the compile time operation, we can create any variable. For example, integer A or integer B. But in Python programming language, every variable creating in the runtime application. This is a highly featured level of these things, and so everything in dynamic data or in the dynamic memory allocation, and so we don't have any problem with the memory structure. Okay, and also we need to give the garbage collection mechanisms, because in the runtime application you can create 1,000,000 times of data or the bytes in order to be used your program, and so the program is closed. If the program is closed, and so this variable should be closed in in your computer structure, and so the garbage collection creates or gives us or used to to diminish or destroy your dynamic data in here, and this is given in the Python language in an automatic way. Okay, automatically gives the garbage collection or diminish or destroy or creates your variables. It's a highly featured programming language, or this is a most important property in the Python programming language. Okay, and so what is next in the Python programming language? I think it's that's enough for the Python programming language, because if we have this information and we can access the most important information related to the difference between the C or C++ programming language. Okay, and so in the next lesson we will talk about the keywords or the syntax of the Python, which is used in the writing programming language. The programming language is like the English or any other language that we are used in the normal lives, and so the Python has its own syntax, which similar to the high-level programming language like the C#, Java, and so this feature we'll talk about it in the next lesson.